Hey, what's up, y'all? I know it's been a while since I made a vid, but that's been for several reasons. Oh, yeah, I'm trying to pull my. Okay. Uh, yeah. There were some videos that I had made, but yeah, they didn't make it to the tube. I just decided to delete them. You know, things concerning the current events, like this buffoonery going on with the milk cart challenge, and the death of this IG strike Mercedes Moore. But rather than acknowledging those things, I think I'm just gonna hang on the fence and just I guess you can say blatantly ignore those things instead of. That's why okay. Yeah, that was just something strange I saw on the tube. Something about some Shaolin, apparently some Shaolin monks torturing this little kid with traditional Shaolin training. But anyway, yeah, that's definitely running on a tangent because that's not even close to the crux of this video. Nor is neither is the milk cart challenge. Neither is the unfortunate demise of this IG model, who was clearly killed by one of her tricks, Mercedes Moore. I mean, it's amazing that it's already been 2 weeks since I ran, or at least I think it's been. It feels like it's been 2 weeks. It's probably been a whole week now. I take that back. So yeah, about a week ago. Yeah, it's had to be. Yeah, it ain't been that long ago. I know it hasn't. It feels like it, but it hasn't. It's probably been just about a week ago. So about a week ago, I in my quest and in my search of seeking out a trade, seeing as the current degree that I, hold is completely and utterly worthless. Short of getting out here and maybe finding some job in management, if I'm lucky enough, if I were fortunate enough. I was in the gym, at Gym 2, if you will, the one that's actually closer by my home, and I guess there was an advertisement like from DeVry University or whatnot that came up that was talking about like online classes in comp science that popped up as an ad. And I guess, I had, instead of, because obviously I'm not going to, especially having graduated from a 4-year accredited university, I'm not going to be looking at some online like DeVry or these other goofball so-called, what Carlos Mencia one time said, La Universidad de la Verga type universities that are just some straight up bullshit. Because even these companies that offer, like these crash, 11-month boot camp courses on, IT certifications where you don't necessarily get a degree, but you get a certificate so that you can enter into the world of IT and do something with that. Even that's, shady, kind of shady for someone. Even though Professor Black Truth did say that, they were going to do away with the degrees and just go into certification so that you don't even have to have a degree. You just, do your little 4 to 11-month boot camp course, and be it cyber security, be it IT support, something in the field of IT, and you'll be able to land a somewhat decent paying job, devoid of a degree. And I was looking into that. Calling myself looking at the local community colleges out here. I was thinking about going into, just getting my certification in diesel tech. Because, like I told you, I worked at AutoZone for 4 years. So, it would be nothing for me to name this part, to identify this part and that part, and knowing what to do. I mean, I would just have to learn how to put stuff, how to install an alternator, install a carburetor, and more importantly, on, a diesel vehicle, versus something that's that uses gasoline, a gasoline engine. I'd be working on a diesel engine. But lo and behold, I find, in my search, because like I said, after I looked at the info on from this DeVry University commercial, the question popped in my head. I wonder if, CU Denver, CU Boulder has anything similar to that, where they have some online program by which I can just take courses online, and within, a similar, time span, get a whole bachelor's degree in one of my majors, because comp science is just one of the majors that I intend to go back to school for. Because for me, I guess I'm just going to have to do it the university path. It would seem that the universe is telling me that I'm just simply not meant, and maybe I'm just not cut out to be doing, these hands-on tech training jobs, nor am I meant to be doing something where I'm only going to be rewarded a certification. I mean, the universe, it's almost like the old saying, to whom much is given, much is required. And I'm finally starting to unravel, like I said, my superpowers. And I almost feel like, I don't want to say that, I'm just on some genius level of some shit, but sometimes a nigga be feeling like, a nigga short of telekinesis, a nigga be feeling like he on some Professor X type shit. And by all means, do not fall, please do not fall for the incorrect English. That's just out of the comfort of having spoken English my whole life. Because again, when you're listening to my voice, you're listening to the voice of a polyglot, affluent in well over 40 plus languages. And I wouldn't have been able to acquire those languages speaking, quote unquote, hood, ghetto, gutter mouth, mush mouth Ebonics. It's impossible. You have to have a solid foundation in your original language if you're going to do it, if you're going to take up a task like any foreign language, much less 40 plus. But that's neither here nor there. Let me just get to my point. So, surely enough, I find that not necessarily CU Denver, the college that I was going to settle for since I came out here, because my original intent, long before I even made it to Denver, was to go to CU Boulder. And I was trying to navigate and figure out how am I going to do that, and I live here in Denver. And this kind of goes back to that question that I raised, in that old video, if y'all remember that video, where I asked, should I move to Denver or should I move to Boulder? Well, clearly the universe is showing me the answer to that, because Boulder's pretty fucking expensive. Now, Denver's pretty fucking expensive, but Boulder is even more expensive. But what Denver has done is it's provided the way to get me, I guess you can say, to get me prepared for Boulder, so that I can move to Boulder and eventually attend classes in person at the University of Colorado at Boulder, which was my original intent. But as of now, while I'm living here in Denver, I discovered that the University of Colorado at Boulder is offering post-baccalaureate degrees in computer science. They're offering degrees to college alumni, people who are in the exact predicament that I'm in. You have a bachelor's degree. You have a satisfactory GPA, which I told them. So they were like, yeah, you're good. You're good on the GPA. And while I never took Calculus 1, I did take this elementary calculus class. And so, Cal 1 is something that I could take that at a community college out here somewhere. The only thing that I'm lacking is an official transcript. I have an unofficial transcript, but what I don't have is the official transcript. So once I get that, and I send all my info, in addition to, I told y'all, I'm pretty sure I've stated in past videos that I'm planning on taking the SAT, because I took the ACT, but I never took the SAT. And I was actually going to do both. I was going to take the SAT and then I was going to take the ACT again. But the more I think about it, it would be completely irrelevant to take the ACT again, because one, I've taken it, and two, the SAT is much harder than the ACT, especially with the math part. So if I make a ridiculously high score on the SAT, it blows out, it nullifies the fact that I made, just this mediocre average score on the ACT. So there's really no point in doing it. Because one thing that I'm trying to do for a fact is waste time and waste money. So, like I said, I'm finally doing what I should have been doing, and haven't given the skills, haven't been provided the tools I would have been doing back when I was in high school, which is not only preparing for an array of STEM fields to major in, but also preparing to take this seemingly difficult test, the SAT. The only reason why I call it difficult is because, it's known for being tricky, and even though, I'm pretty comfortable in my way with, the lower levels of math like algebra, trig, or algebra, geometry, and trig, There's still clearly, I'm weeding out the weaknesses with the materials that I have as far as things that were just completely, utterly neglected during my time when I took these classes back in high school. Plus, there's another little unknown element that the SAT has: statistics. And I have to just face it, high school did not prepare me for this stuff. So it's almost like a blast from the past because it's just weird at times how like I said, I'm doing things that in an otherwise more practical, more progressive society, I would have been doing this shit almost 18 years ago. I would have been doing this 18 years ago, well over 18 years ago. Because you look at certain cultures, their children are doing these things. That's why you have, in a lot of high schools, you have AP calculus. You have AP biology, AP chemistry. Courses for kids who are trying to get something of a college credit so that once they, matriculate into a 4-year university, they don't even have to worry about taking certain courses. Like, they're basically testing out. And it just had me thinking that as worthless as my degree is, it just may serve a purpose after all. Who would know? Who would have known? Who would have known? Because for the past, I graduated in. Wow, it's crazy, bro. I graduated in 2014. And so 7 years pretty much. And it's crazy how time has flown has flown by so fast, because they said that another requirement is that you have to have your classes have to be that where it's not within the 10-year range. I mean, it's not beyond the 10-year range. So that really lets me know that I better get on this thing, which I will. I mean, by the end of next year, they'll have all the credit, all my info and all that, so that I can go on, matriculate into this course. So I definitely don't want to tarry and lollygag when it comes to getting everything accommodated so that I can start taking these online classes. By which doing so, it will be as if I originally went to school for a bachelor's degree in computer science in the first place, devoid of all those electives, devoid of all those bullshit courses that you have to go through during your first 4 years in college. Hell, I imagine when I go back to school again after I've completed my computer education, because I think I'm gonna just go for the masters. I'm gonna go for a bachelor's in comp science. Shortly after that, I'm gonna go for some masters in some area of IT, and I'm seriously considering. I want to say it's data science. I don't know if that's a concentration by itself, because I was originally going to go either and or for for information systems, and or cybersecurity. And after that, guess what? I'm gonna be back in school again. Well, what about student loan debt? I'm paying it out of my own money. I'm paying it out of my own pocket. Because this is what happens when you're in a position to do those kind of things and basically elevate yourself. So it's like with this new, and my point is, with this newfound information, it's so amazing too. Because having discovered that, it basically took everything that I was originally going to do after having given up on the original idea of trying to find a way to get to CU Boulder and just settling for CU Denver, and it's rearranged all of my plans so that I can get into CU Boulder, so that I can get into the city of Boulder. Because with a bachelor's degree in comp science and most definitely a master's degree in comp science or IT, and with apparently Google moving to Boulder, I should be pretty good when it comes to finding a job. One that can pay me a good amount of money, and one that can definitely handle that ridiculous cost of living out there, so that I can truly do what I came out here to do. Which again is get out here, earn these degrees in STEM, and basically do what I gotta do to make it to the next level. But as you know, there's a catch. And the catch is I gotta play the Denver game. Now, I played the Memphis game and I played it well. The fact that I'm here speaking to y'all let y'all know I played it well and I got all my limbs, because we know Memphis is a very dangerous place and it's a trap set up to destroy a nigga, which is exactly why I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing just now what I could have and would have been doing in an otherwise progressive society some 18 plus years ago. Memphis wasn't setting me up for that. Memphis was setting me up for failure. So it's my job to set myself up for success. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to deal with Denver. Because Denver doesn't get a lot of, I know, I'm fully aware Denver doesn't get a lot of publicity. Oh, sure, you look at the brochures, you're going to see, oh, the mountains, oh, the Rockies, oh, the Nuggets. They don't really tell you how much of a shithole city this place is. And I'm here to tell you, bro, Denver's a riveting shithole full of shitty people. People who just want to lounge, get high, not just on weed. This place would be amazing if it was just weed. Boulder might just be weed and probably some other, but all kinds of hard drugs like meth, crack, cocaine. Believe me, they out here doing it. They doing it. And it's overly populated, and it looks like to me it's getting worse. And with the moratoriums, being banned, or being, or with the moratorium bans being lifted, it looks to me it's just getting worse. It's getting worse. So I'm gonna have to play this game, because I was gonna have to play the game regardless, except I would have been doing it here in Denver. I mean, as far as getting ready to go to the University of Colorado at Denver. But for me, Boulder is the prize. Boulder is the gold. Denver is the silver. And I'm here, like, I didn't come all the way out here and go through all the bullshit that I went through back in Memphis just to settle for the silver. I came out here for the gold. See, I want to show the world what happens when you take someone and you put them in the kind of situations that most of us black men have to go through, especially when we come out of these impoverished democratic cities, and you put something in them through trial and tribulation. You light a spark in them a spark of determination in them via negative reinforcement that causes them to go to levels that in life that they years ago wouldn't have even dreamed, let alone imagined, being in, because those were for the elites. Those were for the quote unquote smart kids. See, I'm something of an athlete, even though I got pretty fat during the pandemic, and even though I managed to lose some of the weight, some of it, like I said, it's hard as hell to lose weight and keep it off in these mountains. But I never really had. I just say that to say that I never really participated in any kind of physically demanding sports where I was competing with that. Even though I did cross country for a while in high school. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that I'm pretty much, an average type athlete, even though, I like to think I excel somewhat in cardio, given the fact that, I can still run, on any good day, 6, 7, maybe even 8 miles. There used to be a time I could do that every day. I can't do it like I used to. I can't run 8 miles a day, every day. I wish I could. But what I can do, I can engage in mental Olympics. That's the thing. That's the strongest part of my body. It's not my muscles. The muscles on my arms and my legs, despite years of training them. I would say one of the strongest muscles in my body is my brain. And that's the best asset that I got, which is, again, like I said, the universe it's forced me to unlock my full potential as far as not only what I'm capable of doing, but what I'm meant to do, clearly. And I'm clearly not meant to be removing and installing alternators and carburetors. Even though diesel, being a diesel mechanic is somewhat of a lucrative job. It probably ain't as lucrative as, an electrician or a plumber, because I hear that's plumbing, and I dare even say, being an electrician, and I dare even say being an HVAC is definitely where it's at. So I've heard, because HVAC, I hear, it's like, HVAC, I kind of have to eat my words on that, because, it's money, but I hear that it's way too much for way too little. And with something like that, you'd be better off just getting a degree. If you ask me, you'd be better off just going to school to get a degree in in the robotics section of mechanical engineer, unless you're just genuinely passionate about fixing on heaters. I'm doing HVAC, which I'm most certainly not. So I'm basically here to say that it's almost like I feel like I'm making, something of a report, or I'm reporting my status as far as, you know, the path that I'm clearly set to follow. And that path has finally been revealed to me. And not only has it been revealed to me, it's a path that will again set me back to the original course. The very thing that I originally came out here to do. That, as long as I'm meant to be here in this city, I'm clearly not meant to be here for long, because again, there's Boulder. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. Y'all remember when I was telling y'all how I worked at the Atlanta Bread Company, and there was my first Karen experience with this racist bitch from France who accused me of talking about walking into a white station with a gun because the subject matter that we were talking about was Columbine, and I said nothing more guilty other than I couldn't imagine the trouble that I would get into if I brought a gun to school. Guess where she was headed for? Due to the fact that she was something of a valedictorian, definitely on the honor society, probably clearly a straight A student. She was headed to Boulder. CU Boulder. And I felt some type of way because to a more or less extent, I've always given a damn about academics. I guess that's just what sets me apart from the average Negro, because for whatever reason, I always wanted to shoot my shot. I always wanted to be, the cream of the crop when it came to education. And maybe that's because of my upbringing, the fact that from basically kindergarten up to third grade, I was basically a straight A student. Basically, I made B's every now and then. And as soon as I hit the fourth grade, that's when I started seeing C's. I said D's. Yeah, I caught a few D's. I caught a few D's every 6 weeks. But for the most part, I was an average student. A's, B's, and C's. And I never liked that shit. And I like to think I'm clearly being punished for that, because I would always settle for trying, and I tried to be. It's like I feel like I'm being punished because I worked so hard back then. I was trying to be mediocre. I was trying to be quote unquote normal. Calling myself trying to fit in. Don't be such a bookworm. Don't be such a, study nut. Do what the other kids are doing. Short of selling drugs and, just doing some real fucked up shit. Joining gangs and all that fucked up shit. But I had to come to realize I'm not normal. So I might as well stop acting like something that I'm clearly not. So yeah, it's something of a vendetta, because you really do have to ask yourself, how does someone make it to valedictorian, make it onto the honor society, and can take my words and misconstrue them in such a way that you pointed out and you paint this narrative that I'm going to walk into this school as a black kid now and shoot up the place, basically pull another Columbine. The thing is, you don't. You are either incredibly, in that predicament where you're saying some manipulative, deceitful, lying, straight up lying shit like that, you are incredibly stupid, or you are incredibly manipulative and deceitful. And to this day, I haven't forgotten. This was almost 18 years ago. Because this was right around when I was 18. I was definitely a senior when this happened. And I said, I turned 36 in just a few months. Yet, I remember this shit like it was yesterday. Like I said, I have the memory of an elephant. I don't forget shit. So, I like to think I just surrendered my will, because I was always in it as far as wanting to know the knowledge, but like I said, the knowledge of STEM, the knowledge of foreign languages and whatnot. But not only was I somewhat half-hearted about it, I didn't have access to it until like 2011 when I discovered, Amazon and how that works. And like I say, I dare say that, and that was about 10 years ago, and I dare say that was when the powers that be, I dare say that's when they fucked up. That's when they fucked up. Because prior to, the only access that I had to books was either what was in the local library, which was some outdated ass bullshit books that didn't even cover these topics. Barnes and Noble, which again didn't cover these topics. Like topics like organic chemistry and things of that nature, like textbook level, college level textbooks. And of course the college bookstores, which if you wanted to buy a book from a college bookstore, you're paying full price for that. You're going to pay the newest edition of that book when you could get an earlier edition of that book for $10 on Amazon. Why would you do that? And during my years in college, I wanted these books. I coveted these books because they were so damn expensive. Yet, like, those big ass biology books, those big ass chemistry books that they had. And the more I look back at my life, even when I was getting my ass kicked in grade school, like I said, making nothing but average grades, I would look at a lot of space books. Books like, and really science overall, but space science was definitely the